So Creative Mornings. I wanted to take a different approach. I really wanted to take an approach that actually helps individuals to look more inward, to look more inside of themselves, to just challenge themselves, look a little bit more deeper into why it's important to be courageous. I didn't want to take a route that maybe just kind of touch on the surface of things. I really wanted to go more into self-reflection, really looking inward and challenging and auditing yourself as to, okay, where you are right now, what you intend to do, where you want to go, you know, what's important to you, what's not important to you, different things like that. So that way an individual can really see what it's going to take for them to go from one stage to the next, and then reflect back as to what they was able to accomplish, what they've been able to do, what they've done, and some of the things that you have been able to be successful at, to use that as reference to be able to be strengthened and move forward. Courage, the ability to do something that frightens one. You're willing to challenge your fears. You're willing to challenge adversity. You're willing to go against the grain. You're willing to get outside of your comfort zone. We all have our own comfort zone. How often do we get outside of that little box? How often are we willing to get outside of that box? What's outside of that box? Outside of that box is another new experience. It's innovation. Creative Mornings, in this room, I'm sure we got a lot of creatives in here. A lot of people doing creative things, a lot of people doing unique things, a lot of people doing things that are making change in people's lives, but a lot of people doing things that are making change in their own lives. But now, how do we continue that? Nothing in life advances if it stays stagnant. You have to evolve. You have to grow from one stage to the next. You have to be able to be willing to change and evolve and get outside of your comfort zone. Because if you don't, you're not being courageous. You don't have any growth. The question is, how courageous are we? Do we really challenge ourselves? Do we really face our fears, that which is uncomfortable? Do we get outside of that box? So for me, it was important that we actually begin to look more into our approach on how we intend to grow. How do we intend to find new things? Being stuck and complacent in one area won't allow you to grow. So I wanted to give some examples on some individuals and some people that have made change, significant change in changing our lifestyles as it is, changing culture as it is, and some of the things that they've done and took that approach of getting outside the box and being extremely courageous. The reasonable person conforms to society. The unreasonable person gets society to conform to them. I'm that kind of person that if everybody's going left, I'm going right. And I'm convincing everybody else to go right. And then when everybody go right, then I'm gonna go left. Meaning that I'm gonna always move in a different path. I'm gonna always challenge myself to go outside the box. Creative people challenge themselves to go outside the box. Innovative people challenge themselves to go outside the box. You gotta jump outside of your comfort zone. How courageous are we? How courageous are we to be able to operate outside of what you're used to doing? There are some people who do this all the time. People that we know, people that we heard of, people that changed culture. We're familiar with this guy, right? Never heard of him before, huh? Steve Jobs was not afraid to step outside of the box. He was not afraid to be unreasonable. And because him being unreasonable, he wanted to create something actually that really connected with the consumer and create a different experience. He told his team, you know what, let's create a phone that has one button, operate off of one button. Some of them was like, you know what, I don't know what you're talking about, how this can be done. But he challenged everybody. He challenged his team. He challenged himself to deal with the adversity. People laughed at him. People was like, no, this is not going to happen. But he did it. He had to be unreasonable in order to evolutionize our experience in using the phone, our experience in connecting and actually having music on us at all times, our experience with an iPad and being able to have a smaller device that can do operations of having your own music, to you being able to do business and operate business out of that, and then some, playing games and so forth. Now, the whole culture have changed because he was willing to challenge himself and have the courage to be unreasonable. How many of us are familiar with this guy? I want a good foot. Got to get down a little something. James Brown. Till this day, James Brown revolutionized entertainment, and he revolutionized music and delivering music. If you may not be aware of it, I'm sure when you hear his music, you feel it. When you hear his music, you can't help but to feel there's a different level of energy in how he delivers his music. James Brown wasn't afraid to step outside of the box. He was around a lot of good entertainers, but he had a vision. And in order for him to bring that vision into reality, he had to be unreasonable. A lot of people didn't understand what he was trying to do. His band members didn't understand what he was trying to do, but what he did revolutionized music. Now, what is it that he did? James Brown actually, if you listen to his music, he focuses more so on the feeling. He focuses more so on making you feel a particular way beyond just lyrics. Because if you listen to his music, he does not have a lot of lyrics in his music. It's more of a feeling. He's invoking something out of you that makes you feel good. And then visually and then entertaining you, now that's just the music, but then he actually showed you how it's done by just his presence and by the way he delivered that energy on stage, and he was able to connect with you in a particular way that a lot of other musicians didn't connect in that way. They did a good job, but he did a little differently because he decided to actually focus on the feeling of the music. So if you listen to his music again, listen to how simple the lyrics are. Listen to how little bit of the lyrics. There's not many lyrics in his music. They're very simple. But at the same time, you can't get enough of it because he's invoking something out of you. He found a way to connect with you and to make you move. Being unreasonable has its advantages. Being unreasonable helps to push and birth new change. It births a new reality. It creates evolution. We can't be stagnant. We can't be within a box. We can't stay comfortable where we always just want things to be so safe. Without that, there's no growth. So I need to give an example. And the example that I gave was Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs helped to change technology, which affected our culture. James Brown helped to change the entertainment and music industry, which affected our culture. But then there's another example that completely changes our culture. And that's what I go into next. Now, how many of us know what this is? This symbol? Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang Clan. Now, why do I mention Wu-Tang? And I'm still talking about courage. Still talking about being unreasonable. Talking about stepping outside of your comfort zone. Stepping outside of your comfort zone allows you to experience new things. It allows you to create new things. It allows other people to see you differently, allow other people to engage with you differently. Back in the early 90s, you have a group that's called Wu-Tang. A group of young men grew up in hip hop off the streets. They had a passion, they had a vision, they wanted to approach creating something different than what hip hop music was creating at that time. They decided they're going to come up with a particular theme and they're going to approach this in a different way. They had a whole vision and they executed that. The vision and them stepping outside of the box allowed them to, till this day, to continue to impact this world. So Wu-Tang Clan is a great example of how hip hop can affect the mind frame of an individual, to give them that courage to embrace their uniqueness, to embrace their unique creativity, to embrace the vision that they see of themselves, and then have the audacity to live that and proclaim that every step of the way on their journey of their pursuit to their goals. So hip hop has inspired a number of people worldwide. Hip hop has, in fact, hip hop really is a relatable culture that inspired so many people of different cultures to find their own uniqueness in themselves, that they can learn to embrace themselves even more and step outside of that box and being unreasonable to help foster new change. That's what hip hop does. And he has his laptop there. And on the back of his laptop, he got the Wu-Tang symbol on there. And he keeps it on there no matter where he goes. And it's an older, middle-aged white guy that you wouldn't expect necessarily, like, okay, has a Wu-Tang Clan symbol on his laptop. I say that to say the impact that you can make when you step outside the box and you step outside your comfort zone, you connect with people. Don't be afraid to connect with people based off of the courage of being yourself. This is a little bit what I want to go into on courage. Wu-Tang, this group of young individuals, just one guy's missing, Old Dirty Bastard, that's his name. He actually passed away, unfortunately. But these guys continue this day and are impacting the world. They're engaging in a lot of different facets beyond music at this point, now going into film, now going into different talks. As a matter of fact, Jizza, he actually did a couple TED Talks talking about a perspective on how they approached the industry and how they continue to do what they do. So I decided to utilize Wu-Tang Clan to show a cultural change because they represent hip hop. Hip hop as a culture has affected the change of American culture, its construct, and then some, as well as the cultures worldwide. So hip hop has inspired people to embrace their uniqueness, to embrace the change, and to embrace, being comfortable and having the courage to be themselves. So hip hop played a unique portion in my success and in my growing and growth as I continue to grow, because I've been embedded in that culture, from very young. And it gave me the examples and it gave me the passion and the will to continue to move forward in such a way. So I needed to share that example and help bring a little bit of light into a different perspective on courage and how it can be done, and show an example through culture and how it has helped to change culture through hip hop culture. There's a number of different artists and groups that are out there that impact, and I had to utilize Wu-Tang for another reason, because I don't know any other artist in history that created an album and sold that album for $2 million. The album you see right there on the middle and the bottom is a specialized album that they created, and they know their value, so they're like, okay, we're going to create an album, nobody else is going to get it. We're not going to, not 2 million copies. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a specialized album that was created. No one else has that music except for the person who buys it, and they sold it for $2 million. And the person bought it for $2 million. I show that to show the power behind getting courageous, stepping outside of your comfort zone. How do you step outside of your comfort zone? You step outside of your comfort zone by not being afraid to be you. I'm gonna say that again. You step outside of your comfort zone and you show true courage by not being afraid to be you. The most unique thing that we have in this world is people, the relationships that we have with others. The most unique thing that we have in this world is you. There is no other you that exists. You're the only one. You haven't been here before, you're not going to be here again. If you do, it'll be a different expression of you. But right now, you have the opportunity to show and share the best of you and have fun with it. Do you have the courage to be yourself? Do you have the courage to be yourself at all times? Not partially at this time, maybe when it's comfortable around friends, and then when I'm working, I'm something else. Not when I'm around these particular people, this group of people, I'm this way, and then I'm something somewhere else. At all times, you are now being yourself. Do you have the courage to be yourself? Because it's not going to be easy and comfortable at first. But being yourself allows you to change the world. Some of you might be like, well, I'm not here to change the world. I'm not trying to change the world. I'm not interested in changing the world. It's not about changing the world around you. It's about changing your world. Now, your impact and every engagement that you have, your goals, your aspiration, you now change how people relate to you, and that's your world. We all should want to change our world to have a different experience. Remember, evolving evolution is necessary because it creates change. It keeps things from being stagnant. It keeps things from being redundant, boring, and it allows for things to be more interesting. It makes life more interesting. It makes life more fun. Have the courage to be yourself. Now, how do you have the courage to be yourself? It's a journey, because you're never a particular thing. You're never going to find yourself like, hey, that's me, that's it, and it ends right there. It's ongoing. You're growing. As you engage with other people, as you meet somebody today, their experience is going to impact your life to some degree, or may impact you in a major way, but it adds to you in your expression, and you continue to grow. So you're ever evolving. You're constantly evolving and changing. And as you're constantly evolving and changing, your experiences change. I gave an example of hip hop for a reason, because the culture of hip hop is very empowering. The culture of hip hop is very influential. The culture of hip hop drives the economy of the world today. Every country you go to, you have hip hop infused within that. So there's something different beyond all of that. Hip hop is further than what a lot of people think it actually is, and just music culture and the popular songs that you hear on the radio and things like that. Way beyond that. Hip hop actually is a way of thinking. It's an approach to how you deal with a situation, more so how you deal with how you perceive yourself. And so I wanted to really bring hip hop into the equation because it plays a very important factor. At the same time, it's a very important solution on how you can embrace your own uniqueness. Leverage hip hop. Understand the hip hop culture and learn how hip hop could actually help you foster new change, being unreasonable, being unique, embracing your unique qualities, and having the audacity and being courageous enough to share that with the rest of the world in a unique way. You're the only you that ever existed. So I wanted to share that and kind of bring a different perspective to help people understand the value of hip hop, at the same time help them to understand the value of understanding individuals who are involved with hip hop and the successes that they have accomplished because of that thought process. It can easily be applied. I apply constantly, and I continue to move forward because of it, and I'm driven and fueled by that thought process. So I think that was a unique thing to share with others. I wanted to bring that perspective in, and I encourage others to continue to keep studying. Look at those principles in hip hop. Look at those who are successful in hip hop and as to why they were successful in that. That thought process. Hip hop is beyond just rap, beyond just dance, art, and so forth. It's an infusion of all those things that help you to find out and explore who you are and find out more of who you are as you evolve, because we're constantly changing. So hip hop has played an important role in my change and my growth, and I wanted to share that along with some examples by giving the example of Wu-Tang Clan and a few others from that point. Now, I want to talk briefly about something that it's a little different, but everybody's familiar with it. And I'm going to go into this a little bit, and I'm going to lead this into my next topic. The last group that I mentioned, Wu-Tang, of course everybody knows that's part of the hip hop culture, part of rap music, so forth. One of the reasons why I needed to put that up there, because it's important for me to go into this topic right now, which is hip hop. Today, hip hop is the most prominent culture worldwide. Some of you may be like, well, it's just music. What do you mean a culture? Hip hop culture has music. Hip hop culture is beyond rap. Rap is something that actually is produced out of hip hop. It's an expression from hip hop. It's an expression from the principles of hip hop. But what is hip hop? And why hip hop? Hip hop is affecting cultures worldwide like philosophy is not doing, like religion is not doing, like policies and procedures are not doing. Hip hop is connecting people worldwide on a different level. A lot of people don't know this. So now when I say hip hop, I'm not talking about what you hear top 40 what's on the radio. The popular artists that says this hip hop, that's an expression of hip hop, but that's not the root of hip hop. That's an expression of just the music. But what is hip hop? Hip hop is a conscious way of thinking. It's a conscious way of thinking of stepping outside of your comfort zone. It's a conscious way of thinking that is about not being afraid to proclaim who you truly are as a person, that you intend to be, That you may not necessarily be that at that state just yet. However, you are already in that mind frame, and it takes you to another level. The reason hip hop is so attractive worldwide, hip hop culture, because of this thought process. The thought process of not being afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. The thought process of being and finding and expressing who you are fearlessly. And that thought process connects with people worldwide in a lot of different ways. Then there's a couple fundamental aspects of hip hop on how it's expressed. So if you ever go into the history, or I would suggest everybody go into the history of hip hop and look at how it birthed itself out of the projects in New York, in the Bronx. I don't have time to go into that aspect as of yet, but I'll give you a real quick overview. You had an individual, a couple individuals, or group of people that felt that they were not appreciated and not being accepted and didn't have a voice or any representation. So they said, you know what? Forget the rest of the world, because the rest of the world forgot about me. So what I'm going to do, and what we're going to do, we're just going to do us. We're going to now proclaim and be the best us that we could possibly be. These group of people ended up creating a certain way of expressing themselves. They decided to unite. There were gang members, huge gang members up in New York, and then an individual named Africa Bambaataa pulled all of them together and actually told them, look, we don't need to be fighting and killing one another. What we need to be doing, because no one cares, we need to be looking out for ourselves. So let's put the guns down and let's actually begin to express ourselves in a different way. So they use art, culture, they use music, dance. And so it became a challenge in that way. So everyone would compete against with themselves. And that challenge forced individuals to be even more creative. So, all right, I'm going to work on myself now, because I'm about to go and do the best piece of art that I can possibly do to show everybody that, you know what, this is me. I'm about to get on the dance floor and do my thing as a b-boy, and I'm going to now compete against everyone else and show them my expression of who I am. This was a phenomenon. At the time, nothing like that was being done. Fast forward, till this day, you won't have anything like that being done. And therefore, hip hop culture worldwide is accepted because people can connect with that thought process. People can connect with that mindset of, you know what, let me show the best version of me in this creative platform. So you have people in Senegal, you have people in India, you have people in Japan, you have people all over the world breakdancing and competing against one another, doing artwork against one another in the right spirit of fun, but challenging themselves to be a better them, going outside of their comfort zone and going to platforms and showcasing that. People find solace in that because it actually it touches them in a deeper place, because they're now finding happiness in actually being who they are, having the opportunity to try different things and explore being who they truly are. And hip hop provides that platform, and it's beyond race. It's beyond a certain gender. It's beyond all of that. It's because it's rooted in the principles of not being afraid of being yourself and showcasing that. Now that's courage. That's what can make you put an album together and sell it for $2 million and get $2 million for it. Not being confined to the conventional way of thinking. not being confined to what everybody think should be done. You got to be unreasonable. You got to be unreasonable in order to be yourself. Don't worry about what other people think or what they may think, because at the ending of the day, they're following everybody else anyway. And then so if you do you and be the best you, people are going to follow you because you're the only you that exists. You're unique. So you showcase that. And showcase that in many different ways. So people around the world is leveraging hip hop to showcase who they are. So you have hip hop being expressed in Australia the way through their culture and their experience. You have hip hop in Japan being expressed in that experience. You have hip hop in Liberty City being expressed a particular way. You have hip hop in Miami Beach being expressed a particular way. And the unique thing about it is everyone who understands hip hop connect no matter where they are. When you start speaking in that level and you talk in that level, it connects people. They relate. And it happens worldwide, even if you don't even speak the same language. I've experienced this. It's amazing. The courage to be you. So change is inevitable. The quote that stuck with me when I heard years back, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. I continue to remind myself of that, because now when difficulty comes or a challenge comes, I look at it from a different perspective. Or I even look at myself from a different perspective. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. So I start changing the way I look at myself. And then I begin to see myself in a different way. So how we respond to situations is very important as to the outcome that we receive. So it's important that we look at a challenge a certain way. Look at it very deeply. You're going to actually find an opportunity in that challenge, difficulty, or problem. So when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. You'll find opportunity in these things. So I wanted to share a little bit into that aspect of our perspective of things, because how courageous are we to walk into that which is uncomfortable? How courageous are we to walk into that which is very difficult, or may be perceived difficult by us? But until you challenge it, you never know the difference, and you never know what you're made of or what's in you dying to come out. So embrace the change, embrace the challenge, because there's a new you that's on the other side of that you're going to fall in love with. So I just want to share that aspect, share that quote that helped to change my life. And I continue to utilize that quote, play it over and over again in my head and through every situation. And I realized, you know what? If I change the way I look at things, the things I look at begin to change. And that helped me to foster in a different process of thinking. So the process of change can be challenging, but it can be enjoyable. Just go through the motion, look at how you're changing, and see the opportunity in every situation. When you're not afraid to be who you are, you're not afraid to approach things and try different things. You're not afraid of opposition. You're not afraid of the ridicule, because all that's temporary. All of that's coming from people who may not necessarily even be clear as to what they want to do, and they're not expressing themselves, because people who are expressing themselves would never judge or malign a person who is confidently expressing who they are. Most insecure people do that. But those who have confidence, they're like, yo, go ahead, keep it going. Keep doing you. I like that. And they support you. That's the energy that makes you feel more alive. That's what allows you to keep pushing towards your vision and make that vision of the idea that you may have a reality. That's what makes the pain go away. Remember, pain pushes, and it continues to push you until your vision pulls you. You gotta act on that vision. So my journey of being courageous completely evolves around being unreasonable, never conforming to what other people's opinions are or what they think things should be. And that's what allowed me to break outside of the box and help create new ideas and new experiences, or create new pieces of art, or create new concepts, or seeing things in a different perspective, coming and approaching things in a different way that benefits the whole. So I wanted to go now and to share much more of my story and the journey of what Brainwash Media has been produced out of. There's certain things and passions that have, been a part of my life from very young that helped me to foster and shaped me into where I am right now, that opened up so much opportunities and created the levels of success that I've been able to accomplish. So I wanted to share a little bit of that with the audience and the group, and kind of give a little perspective into how being courageous, and at the same time, how I had to challenge certain things of my life and overcome them in order to create new experiences and thinking outside of the box. So being courageous was a journey that I continue to follow. Being unreasonable every step of the way have produced a lot of success for me, and I'm thankful for that. Envision. Envision is a project that I thought about and I had to challenge myself to execute. Let me step back real quick and give you a real rough, a quick overview of what led me to Envision. So I'm originally from Miami, and when I was young, I was 12 years old, and for some reason, I don't know what it's come from, but I had a desire just to work. I wanted to do something. I had ideas. I just wanted to do something. And they kept telling me, you're too young, you're too young, you're too young. I'm like, well, I just want to do something. Just let me do something. You're too young. I got frustrated with hearing that. So by the time I got to 14, I said, forget that. I'm just going to create my own business. And I taught myself how to airbrush. A little backstory. I actually am an artist. I draw, paint. I'm a fine artist. I draw, paint. Amongst many other different things. And so I utilized that skill and taught myself how to airbrush. And now I can do these characters and drawings that I've been doing already now on shirts. Now the characters and drawings go into another part I'm going to just mention real quick, because in my upbringing, I was, I'm also a graffiti writer. And so I can take a spray can even right now and I can just do a piece real quick, even if it's one color, and I can design something fast. Because when you're doing it, not like how it is today it's acceptable. But back then it wasn't acceptable. So you had to be able to be fast so you don't get caught by the police and then be out. Get your picture and then be out. So that speed is what I've been able to, build up. So I had that speed where I work very fast, and not to brag, but very good at it. And then so I decided I took a different approach. My thought process was different. I look back on it and I never understood why at the time, but I was like, I didn't want to be a part of this crew. I didn't want to be a part of that crew. Even when we were dancing, because as a b-boy, I break dance and all of that. But as a b-boy, I never wanted to be a part of a crew, because I seen too much division. And I seen too much adversity amongst one another, too much fighting amongst one another on just crews. Same thing with the graffiti. So I was like solo, but very popular because of that reason. But at the same time, even more so because of the style and what I was doing was so unique, and it was actually standing out a lot, and it caught a lot of attention. And everybody would want me to be a part of their team or their group or whatnot. And I would be like, nah, I roll with y'all, but I can't just stick to just this group, because I got too much drama going on. So I used those skills and created a company, started doing t-shirts. Then I moved forward, a couple years later, and then that expanded, opened up a couple shops, That expanded, opened up a design company. That expanded, taking that design company into, this is throughout my high school years. I was doing quite a bit during high school, from being in the fine arts program and at the same time playing a sport, at the same time running my own business. Didn't even think about it then. Look back at it now, I'm like, how the hell did I do all that? But it's because I had a vision and I had a passion. I wasn't afraid to try something different. But did it. Expanded the business, and then I decided, you know what? I need to do something different. We came up with a t-shirt line that was called footwear. Ironic. We have a t-shirt line that's called footwear. And I wanted to do it that way because I knew it was going to get people's attention. Did that, that went really well. That same thought process, I ended up taking that same thought process and applying it to everything else from that point forward. And so, just to be real quick on this part, so we can get to Envision, I wasn't afraid, and I'm using the principles of hip hop because that was just a part of me. I wasn't afraid to step outside the comfort zone. So then I went ahead and said, you know what, I'm going to create a magazine that actually focuses on the people rather than just the products. We're going to put the people first. We're going to put the models first, highlight the personalities, put it around personalities. It's called Fashion Magazine. That broke me into the entertainment industry and the fashion industry. And we ended up doing a lot and revolutionized a lot here in South Beach, in New York, and also in LA. Did that for about 15 years. Built up the relationships, but I had another thought in mind, because when I was coming up, when I was younger, I was able to create a pathway for myself, but I was not satisfied because a lot of my friends didn't have that. A lot of them gave it up, a lot of them lost their lives, and it built up something inside of me to be able to create something different. And so what I ended up doing was having a passion inside of me to create a platform for youth to learn and have them learn how to turn their skills into a career. So I took the relationships that I have, and I continue to take the relationships that I have, that I built up from all of the different entertainers, celebrities, different brands, from working everybody with Adidas to hanging out with Jamie Foxx, and the list goes on, but that's not important. I took those relationships. What's important for me is I took those relationships, and I'm now transitioning those relationships into helping the youth and creating a platform. Envision it stands for interactive vision, and what we're doing is helping youth learn how to turn their skills into a career. So I had this vision, and I was like, all right, you know what? I need to execute this. I tested it out in New York. It went really well. I said, I'm coming back to Miami, and I'm gonna do this full scale. Came back to Miami. We're doing it full scale now. Envision is actually impacting the lives of a lot of youth in a unique way. We're launching officially this year, but we've been piloting the program, establishing the relationships, and working with a number of big brands, from Google to Twitter to Facebook. And we're now creating engagement and helping youth to learn how to start at an early age, when they're teens, to turn their skills into a career. Something that I had to fight to create a pathway for myself, but I've seen too many other youth and friends not have that opportunity. So I had to have the courage to be myself. I had to have the courage to challenge and be myself at all times. So taking a project and having the vision, it's not an easy road, but it's something that you got to be willing to go through. And the adversity, I had to look at it differently, because when you look at things differently, the things you're looking at changes, and it actually becomes maybe an opportunity. And so I leveraged all of that and continue to leverage that, and we're finding amazing success, and the impact that's happening with the youth is propelling and growing very fast. We have youth ambassadors that are gaining experiences, and we're going to prepare to accelerate them in a special program to actually help them launch their personal ideas to the next level. HEAL. HEAL is a program and a project that we initiated nationwide. HEAL connects with people in a unique way by providing them an opportunity to acquire premium quality, wholesome foods at a price where even low-income families can afford it. So now what we're doing is actually helping people, and we're fighting the food desert issue. We piloted the program nationwide. Currently, we're in over 30 states and over 112 cities running the pilot, and it's successfully connecting with people and providing quality foods and empowering local organizations economically. Challenging the norm to create something different. Creating a different experience. Being innovative. Challenging the fears. And we've successfully deployed this, and we're now getting ready to deploy the next phase of it here in Miami. Some of the products that's currently even being offered. And so, not being afraid to challenge your thoughts, your own negative thoughts. Challenge the doubt. Challenge the adversity from family. Challenge these different things and have the courage to overcome no matter what. Be relentless, be fearless, be unreasonable. Turnkey is another project that we have. And I'm mentioning these projects for a particular reason. I'm gonna share with you why, and I'm gonna wrap it up. Turnkey is a solution that we're providing for startup companies, individuals who need to market and promote themselves. All of these things that we're doing is about people, bringing value, offering value to people. Why? Because when you empower other people, you become more empowered. Have the courage to work interdependently. Turnkey is a basic solution that helps you to actually helps you to create customized video content at an affordable rate. Everyone needs video nowadays, and we offer that level of service. What we do basically is offer value to people. You got to be able to offer value to people. Think outside of just yourself. Think outside of just what's comfortable for you in your business and your goals. Open up and have room for other people's ideas to be able to flourish in what you're doing. It's more enjoyable that way. It's more progressive that way. You gain more success quicker that way. So the courage to being yourself is also connecting with other people and finding a way to work with other people, because that helps to fuel and develop yourself as well. So we offer quality regardless. And this is not a pitch to sell you on what we're doing, but this is to show you by going outside of your comfort zone, you can actually create opportunities and create value for other people. Have the courage to work interdependently. Working interdependently means everyone have their idea, but the persons that you're deciding to work with don't have to sacrifice their idea, their time, at the expense of just helping you out, because you never get help that way. Find a way to include people in what you're doing, that their business, their ideas, their goals can grow in what you're doing. And then that actually helps them and they help you. And you find yourself growing much faster that way. It's uncomfortable because that's not the traditional way of things. And Brainwash Media, which is the company that we have, is about doing that. Brainwash Media is about changing the normal construct of the way people think. It's about disrupting and challenging traditional business, challenging the way people think from being self, to being more about give, with the purpose of still gaining profits, but at the same time having purpose and creating empowerment. So the concept of brainwash is to help wash out all the gimmicks, wash out all the so-called methods, and just be authentic and be real. Finding the courage to be yourself helps you to be able to expand beyond your comfort zone and create opportunities for yourself by creating opportunities for others. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Don't be afraid to be unreasonable. Don't be afraid to challenge yourself to explore who you are and take those necessary steps slowly, incrementally, until you gain the full confidence, and then you can just jump out there. And you will attract the assistance, the help, and those who can connect with you immediately and take you to the next journey. So courage to me is being able to not being afraid to find out who I am today. And I'm constantly changing. Thank you. So working interdependently is a powerful aspect that helps to foster the growth of Brainwash Media and what we're doing today. Brainwash Media currently is working on these unique projects, some of which I shared there. There are several more from that point, but the goal is to help to disrupt and to challenge a new way of thinking, a new way and a new approach that embraces people, that creates an opportunity and bring value to other people. So this is actually what's happening, and this is what's helping to foster the fast-paced growth of what's happening with the projects, each of the projects that we take on, because we're not thinking about just ourselves, we're thinking about how we can empower others. And if you want to be empowered, you empower others. Working interdependently has been a means and a way that I've been practicing for over the last 15, 20 years, where I'm creating something that can add other individuals into that to give them a platform to grow without them sacrificing what they are currently doing. So there's an art to working interdependently, and working interdependently helps to empower what you're doing and what others are doing, making all of the projects grow even faster. That's been a strategy that we've been implementing. We've been finding great success in that area, and I wanted to share that with the group and kind of let them know that being able to think outside the box and think beyond yourself and think more into how you can bring value to someone else and open up what you're doing to help bring a unique platform to others that they can grow along with you. This is being courageous. This is thinking outside of the box. This is what fosters new change. So when it comes to being courageous, think differently, and things will be different.